Here are the top stories for today, December 18, 2019. Government lawyers assure that they did all they can to secure justice for the victims of the Maguindanao Massacre. Malacanang brushes off reports that Manila and Manila Water lost money over the canceled extension of their concession deals. The government is likely to back off from plans to establish a military camp in Marawi City. And Pedig Town in Ilocos Norte seeks to have its own goat center to develop its goat racing industry. Good day, I'm William Theo. Welcome to the PNA Newsroom. Justice Secretary Bernardo Guevara assured families of the Ampatuan massacre victims that government lawyers did all they can to give justice to the victims of the Maguindanao Massacre case. More on this from Janice Cabe.
Justice Secretary Bernardo Guevara expressed belief that the prosecution team did its best in trying to secure convictions in the 2009 Maguindanao Massacre case. On Tuesday, Quezon City RTC Branch 221 presiding judge Jocelyn Solis Reyes ordered accused Zaldi Ampatuan to be sent back to Camp Bagong Diwa from his detention at the Makati Medical Center where he is recuperating following a stroke. A number of setbacks had plagued the Department of Justice in previous administration's efforts to prosecute members of the Ampatuan clan for the incident on November 23, 2009, which resulted in the death of 58 individuals, including 32 newsmen. Then Justice Secretary Alberto Agra, during the Arroyo administration, was roundly criticized for his decision then to drop the charges against two of the Ampatuans implicated in the case. Barely a year into the proceedings in 2010, Senior Assistant State Prosecutor Leo De Serra, who led the government's prosecution team, died from cardiac arrest. There have also been reports of millions of pesos in bribes and threats made to prosecutors, victims' families, and witnesses. A total of 117 people have been arrested, including members of the Ampatuan clan. 7 of them died while in detention, including former Maguindanao Governor Andal Ampatuan Sr., and there are still 80 accused who remain at large. For the PNA Newsroom, I'm Janice Cabe.
The Quezon City Regional Trial Court on Tuesday ordered that Zaldi Ampatuan be sent back behind bars from the Makati Hospital where he is presently recovering from a stroke. Ampatuan earlier asked that he be allowed to extend his confinement until his condition has stabilized and claims that he is not a flight risk, considering that this is not the first time that he had requested to be brought out of his detention facility. The defense said a magnetic resonance imaging or MRI was conducted and revealed that he suffered a stroke. The promulgation of the decision on the Maguindanao Massacre case will be held in Camp Bagong Diwa, Taguig City on Thursday. The High Court assured it will immediately upload the decision of the trial in the SC website as soon as possible. Only 2 video cameras of PTV will be allowed to take footage of the proceedings. The first camera shall be directed at the judge and whoever will read the decision, while the second camera shall be directed at the lawyers, counsels, and the parties involved. The video footages shall be shared in real time with other broadcast networks. Meanwhile, the palace hopes that justice will finally be served for the victims of the gruesome 2009 Maguindanao Massacre case. While the decision is set to come out, presidential spokesperson Salvador Panelo said the historic promulgation of the decision under the watch of President Rodrigo Duterte is immaterial. He said, regardless of under whose administration, justice should always prevail. The president has not made any personal comment on the issue. Panelo, who also served as former legal counsel of Ampatuan Jr. in the Maguindanao Massacre case, also refused to give an opinion on the impending release of the court's final decision. He said justice should prevail and they should respect whatever decision the court will make. PCOO Secretary Martin Andanar earlier assured the public of complete, secure, and truthful coverage of the promulgation of the ruling on the 2009 Maguindanao Massacre case. Ride-hailing app users urge LTFRB to act on the excessive surge in fares. And the Labor Department will cut down OFW deployment in Saudi. More on this and other news around the metro from Benj Bundok.
The Land Transportation Franchising and Regulatory Board is set to meet with transport network companies this week to discuss complaints of an excessive surge in fares during the holidays. This after many ride-hailing app users lamented the increase in fares being charged by TNCs since the Christmas season began. According to the LTFRB, they will immediately reach out to the accredited ride-sharing firms to settle the matter within the week. In other news, the Department of Labor and Employment on Tuesday said it is looking to scale down next year the sending of overseas Filipino workers to the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. Labor Secretary Silvestre Bello III said the purpose of the scaling down is to call the attention of the Saudi government to what they consider as the slow action on the plight of workers. Bello said it will cover all OFW sectors from household service workers to skilled workers. Meanwhile, Pinoys in Tripoli are urged to relocate and remain vigilant after General Khalifa Haftar ordered his troops for a final assault to capture the Libyan capital. The Philippine Embassy in Libya on Tuesday repatriated 9 Filipinos, including 3 minors. Another batch of repatriates is scheduled to exit Libya before Christmas, depending on the situation on the ground. A total of 142 Filipinos are already sent home since the current conflict in Tripoli broke out in April. For the PNA Newsroom, I'm Benj Bondo.
Still to come, Malacanang brushes off reports that Manila and Manila Water lost money over the canceled extension of their concession deals. The government is likely to back off from plans to establish a military camp in Marawi City. More on these when the PNA Newsroom continues.
Ito ang Duterte on Duty. Ulat sa ginagawa ng Presidente.
December 2, Lunes, Malacanang. Pinangunahan ni Pangulong Rodrigo Roa Duterte ang Christmas tree lighting ceremony sa Kalayaan Grounds. Sinundan ito ng 44th Cabinet Meeting na ginanap sa Aguinaldo State Dining Room. December 3, Martes, Malacanang. Pinanumpa ni Pangulong Duterte ang mga bagong talagang government officials at mga newly elected officers ng League of Municipalities of the Philippines. Naging makasaysayan naman ang pagpirma ng Pangulo sa Malasakit Center Act. Pinagpaliban din niya ang May 2020 Barangay at Sangguniang Kabataan Elections. December 4, Miyerkules, Malacanang. Tinanggap ng Pangulo ang credentials ng mga bagong talagang ambassadors mula sa China, Denmark, Hellenic Republic, Myanmar, Sri Lanka at South Africa. December 5, Huwebes, Legazpi City. Nagpunta si Pangulong Duterte sa Bicol upang alamin ang lawak ng pinsalang dulot ng bagyong Tisoy.
The government agencies knew what to do before the typhoon hit landfall, what it did during the entire crisis and after. So, I am more than satisfied by the response. The question is, as always, if we have this kind of situation after you make the assessment, the evaluation is there, it's always money. Para tingnan ninyo yung report ninyo, then we will take over and I will advise you accordingly kung kailan dadating ang pera.
Misamis Oriental. Nagbigay pugay si Pangulong Duterte kay Police Master Sergeant Jason Magno, ang bayaning pulis na nagbuwis ng buhay upang protektahan ang mga estudyante sa pagsabog ng isang granada sa loob ng kanilang paaralan. Ako po si Secretary Martin Andanar at ito ang Duterte on Duty. Abangan sa susunod na linggo ang mga gagawin ng Pangulo.
Malacanang thinks Manila and Manila Water did not actually lose a big part of their fortune after the government announced that it had revoked the extension of concession agreements with the two water firms. Presidential spokesperson Salvador Panelo brushed aside reports that the two water firms may face bankruptcy over the cancellation of the extension of their agreements, which will expire in 2022. This as 127 billion pesos were reportedly wiped out of the stock market of the two water concessionaires after President Rodrigo Duterte criticized the alleged onerous provisions which put the government at the disadvantage. The decision of the Metropolitan Waterworks and Sewerage System to revoke the concession agreements is also causing banks to reconsider their loan arrangements. The revocation means the two firms only have until 2022 to operate, since the 2009 resolution extending the 25-year concession deals signed in 1997 is already considered ineffective. Panelo said what was clear is that the president wanted a new contract with the onerous provisions removed. A ranking official of the National Task Force to End Local Communist Armed Conflict has called on the public to be vigilant against communist activity as they mark their 51st year of existence and terrorism on December 26. National Security Advisor Hermogenes Esperon Jr. said they received reports that the Communist Party of the Philippines and its armed wing, the New People's Army, will conduct assassinations and terrorist activities in urban areas to take advantage of the Yuletide season. Law enforcement and security forces have been advised to take countermeasures against this sinister threat to general peace and order. Esperon said communists are growing more desperate to stem the tide and cling to whatever dwindling influence they may have left. He urged the public to report any suspicious individuals or strange activities in their areas to the proper authorities. China's envoy to the Philippines said on Monday more than a dozen flagship infrastructure projects are set to be completed in the next few years. Chinese Ambassador Huang Xilian said of the 13, 7 projects are launched, received, and process of implementation and will be completed one after the other. Huang said projects such as the Chico River Pump Irrigation, New Centennial Water Source Kaliwa Dam, and the Philippine National Railway South Long Haul will contribute to the development of agriculture and transportation in the Philippines. Wang said China has provided grants worth around $398 million and close to $500 million soft loans to the Philippines to support its Build, Build, Build plan. Another $421 million will be further provided from 2019 to 2022. Defense Secretary Delfin Lorenzana has announced that the government will not pursue its planned construction of a new military camp in Marawi City. Lorenzana said the government remains open to the calls of the residents not to pursue the plan. Marawi Mayor Majul Gandamra said Lorenzana's statement showed that the national government is mindful of the sentiments of the people. On October 20, Gandamra wrote to President Duterte to request the relocation of the planned military camp in the center of Marawi. Gandamra said the camp should be constructed in a place that will not necessarily encroach or invade the privacy of the populace and recognize historical sites with heritage value. Gandamra also expressed gratitude to the national government for the city's rehabilitation program after the city was destroyed during the 5-month siege in 2017. Up next, 4 villages in Pampanga are hailed for their best practices in disaster risk reduction. And Bidig Town in Ilocos Norte seeks to have its own goat center to develop its goat racing industry. The PNA Newsroom returns after these reminders.
Suspect pati ang 3 batang anak ni Estrella Reyes.
Ng mukha at iba pang parte ng katawan ng biktima.
Matapos pagsasaksakin ay hinahasa pa umano ng
Ang ina ng mga ito at ang bulag na lola nila sa kanilang pamilya. Pinanggilabilang ng na may karabasa ang iba at lumalabas pinagbilang ng ang ina ng mga ito at ang bulag na lola nila sa kanilang tahanan sa Marawi.
Sa kabila ng kaliwat ka ng batikos na inaani ng kasalukuyang administrasyon,
how many millions are affected by drugs?
Through seaports, airports, through our coastlines.
Of the crime of murder, punishable by reclusion perpetua or 30 years maximum imprisonment.
Sinasaksak pa ng gunting dito sa bato, kaya ang daming tama na dito.
minsan ang daan tungo sa katahimikan ay sa pamamagitan ng pagsisimula ng giyera.
Ay, sasakay Papa.
Bakit?
Putulong ulo.
Four villages in Pampanga were recognized for showing best practices in disaster risk reduction. Meanwhile, a shellfish ban is raised in parts of eastern Visayas. More on this and other news from the provinces from Roundup.
4 villages in Pampanga were cited on Tuesday for their best practices in disaster risk reduction and management efforts. Barangay Santo Cristo in Guagua, Kapalangan in Apalit, Santa Lucia in Santa Ana, and Nigi in Masantol won in the first ever search for best barangay disaster risk reduction practices. Governor Dennis Pineda initiated the contest to be able to compile best practices at the community level. Meanwhile, the Provincial African Swine Fever Task Force in Negros Occidental seized some 56 cans of canned pork products that passed through the Bacolod Silay Airport. The items were brought from the United States as pasalubong but were transshipped in Luzon. The seized products were disposed of with the consent of the owner. The provincial ordinance prohibits all pork and pork products coming from Luzon and other ASF-affected areas from entering the province. In other news, a shellfish ban is up in 5 bays in eastern Visayas as red tide toxins plagued coastal waters. The Bureau of Fisheries and Aquatic Resources of BFAR said red tide toxins were found both seawater and shellfish meat in Samar and eastern Samar. The Bureau also banned the trading and consumption of alamang harvested from the bay to avoid possible shellfish poisoning. Fish, squid, shrimp, and crab are safe to eat provided that they are fresh and washed thoroughly, and internal organs such as gills and intestines are removed before cooking. For the PNA Newsroom, I'm Rom Dulfa.
The Philippine Charity Sweepstakes Office says it has provided assistance to 200 persons affected by Sunday's magnitude 6.9 earthquake in Davao del Sur. PCSO General Manager Royina Marzan Garma distributed grocery items to the affected families on Monday. Garma said she was at the Southern Philippines Medical Center when the earthquake occurred. She reiterated that the agency is committed to providing charity to the Filipinos who need assistance. A total of 9 persons were killed, while 111 were injured and 1 went missing during the magnitude 6.9 quake. Buoyed by the success of the country's campaign in the 30th Southeast Asian Games, The Philippine Sports Commission hopes the same level of performance by the Filipino athletes would carry over to next year's Tokyo Olympics. Mark Velasco, National Training Director of the Philippine Sports Institute, expressed optimism that the country could qualify more athletes to the 2020 Summer Games. He said that with the Olympics being 6 months away, the support of the PSC continues if we still have more athletes qualifying in the first quarter of the Olympics. Velasco added the PSC would finance all qualified Filipino athletes in their overseas training, especially if they would prefer to hold their respective camps abroad. The country won a record number of medals in the biennial meet, including a total of 149 goals to win the overall championship after 14 years. The local government of PDG Ilocos Norte is eyeing the establishment of a goat center to boost the town's goat racing industry. To jumpstart the project, at least 300 goats were distributed on Tuesday to farmer beneficiaries from the town's 23 barangays. PDG Mayor Eddie Guillen said goat production is economically valuable in the province as it is low maintenance and a favorite Ilocano delicacy. The goat dispersal program of the local government aims to boost the income of its farmers as they are encouraged to diversify their source of livelihood. Aside from goats, native pigs and free-range chicken were earlier distributed to them as part of uplifting the locals' way of life. For those who were not included in the program, the PDG government assured there will be another round of livestock distribution which includes sheep, ducks, buffalo, and free-range chicken. And here's another look at today's biggest stories. Government lawyers assure that they did all they can to secure justice for the victims of the Maguindanao Massacre. Malacanang brushes off reports that Manila and Manila Water lost money over the canceled extension of their concession deals. The government is likely to back off from plans to establish a military camp in Marawi City. And PDG Town in Ilocos Norte seeks to have its own goat center to develop its goat racing industry. Thank you for watching another episode of the PNA Newsroom. To check out more news content, check our webpage or head onto the Philippine News Agency's Facebook and Twitter accounts. For more stories about the government and how it serves Filipinos, look for these hashtags in all of our social media platforms and websites. We are shown on the pages of the PCOO and its attached agencies. Also watch us on television on PTV4 and IBC 13. And since the holidays are just a hop, skip, and a jump away, I think at this point we should exercise the culture of being contented and to share our blessings with the less fortunate in whatever way that we can. And that's your daily dose of the biggest stories that you need to know. From the PNA Newsroom, I am William Theo. Good day.